Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and oh boy, did this catch me off guard. I was honestly hoping that we wouldn't have seen it until the Sony main stage presentation, because, man, that would mean that would mean something else, wouldn't it? And yet, right now, I don't even care. I don't usually get this excited for trailers, especially trailers like this that show nothing in the way of gameplay, purely cinematic trailers. I can appreciate them, but I won't get excited for them because I'm a pure gameplay guy at my heart. But god damn it, I don't even care right now. Let me be hyped for a second. Okay, second over, let's get down to some analysis, shall we? This is also my first time trying a video like this, so it'll be a bit rougher on the edges, but I hope to improve in the future. The first thing to note, though it's a bit more of a side note, they're still using the 20th anniversary logo here, even though that's over 2 years ago now. But it is a fancy logo. And for our opening shot, we have the return of our venerable F-104 Starfire taking off from the totally not Edwards Air Force Base that we've seen in the previous trailer. Not much new here, but we'll see it again in this trailer. I'm sorry, this is completely subjective, but as someone who enjoys good, proper editing, this simple sequence is nothing short of a masterpiece. But it does have more to it than its simple aesthetic value, because as the rest of the trailer really makes evident, they did their homework. The first crater that we see is called Newman Crater. It is new to Ace Combat 7, and we've seen it before in the VR demo. And of course, the second crater is none other than Anderson Crater in North Point from Ace Combat 4. The very first glimpse any of us ever got at the true magnitude of the destruction brought by Ulysses, how it shattered the Earth, and well, the skies, I suppose. And 25 years have passed, so you can see some differences. The water has receded, allowing the island to rise further out of the ocean, and it has gained a nice comfy beach around it, if only there wasn't a war going on. And of course, Stonehenge, though nothing new here, and the image is zoomed too far out anyway. And by just position, you would assume this to be an F-16 engine, which I'm pretty sure it is. In the next scene we see multiple F-16s and C-130 Hercules taking off. I would have liked to have seen this scene in a different lighting, so as to better evaluate the quality of the models and textures. It's difficult to gauge with all the light reflecting on them. But the real interesting thing here is the very first shot. This is the first time we see Trigger's emblem in detail, a white wolf with a blonde mane carrying a red sickle, but that's not even the most interesting detail here. That would be the tailcoat. FG, in the context of Ace Combat 7, is very likely to mean Fourth Grace. Fourth Grace is an island off the coast of Uslia, and one that's already featured in the VR demo we have seen before, which means that, I assume at the start of the game, we will have Trigger already based in Ostia. That is his home base. And his tail number is 015. Now, 015 next to the Ocean flag, that's a clear throwback to Blaze, whose number was 016. It is a number that's been used by someone before though, Windhover. In Ace Combat 6, the Windhover squadron used 28, just like Garuda, but in Ace Combat Infinity, the F-16C Windhover featured the number 15, probably to differentiate it from Garuda. Now, that's technically not strange real, so they're not infringing anything here, but maybe there was a goof there. In any case, the number 17 has never been taken by anyone in Ace Combat history, so that was free, but they went with 15. The next scene shows us an F-35B. Why did it have to be the B? In the catapult. There's a nice bit of symbolism here though, because Fourth Grace was also the name of the ISAF carrier that Mobius 1 takes off from in Sitting Duck. Still, their tailcoat probably does refer to the island. At least that's my guess.
The Kingdom of Erusia declared war on the Osean Federation.
Osea launched a major attack against the capital region, striking Farbati from their aircraft carrier and the Kestrel II warship.
Now, I've ignored the audio to now because, apart from a very appropriately cheesy line at the start, it hasn't told us much. But here it does. Erusia declares war on Osea, and Osea counterattacks with massive force. Or at least that's what we're led to believe in. There's no proof that these events happen in chronological order. They may well just stack them in this order in the trailer for dramatic effect. And of course, there's the mention of the Kestrel 2. Now, the narrator does say the aircraft carrier and the Kestrel 2 warship, leading us to believe the Kestrel 2 is not an aircraft carrier, but I'm not entirely sure he says and. There may have been something a little bit lost in translation there, we'll have to see. Also, though we can't see it here, because of the lighting, this is very likely the city where the space elevator is located, and thus not Far Bounty, as Ace Combat Fan has demonstrated in one of his earlier videos. What I really do want to know is how that building collapses. Is it just something that happens in a cutscene? Is it a scripted event like the building in Miami in Assault Horizon? Or can we collapse it in gameplay? That's what I really want to know. And of course we have the maps, not just one, but two. The first one, more than the front lines, really displays the magnitude of what's about to go down. Erusia may have the land, but Osia's got the expeditionary forces, with multiple carrier groups and other troop deployments across the continent, though their location on this map is probably inaccurate. What's more interesting about these front lines, though, is that they almost perfectly matched that of the first Usian Continental War, the one that's portrayed in Ace Combat 2 and later Assault Horizon Legacy or Cross Rumble, whatever you want to call it. The Usian allied, or Osian allied states are the ones that are under Osian control here, where Far Bounty has overrun the rest of the continent, and the states down by the southern shore, which we will see are the closest to the elevator. This tells us two things. First, that the deal between the southern states and Osia did go through after the Second Continental War in some form or capacity. The IUPF may be just that. And two, that Erusia again used either Stonehenge or the elevator in whatever military capacities it may have to overrun the areas within its strike radius. Then there's the second map, which focuses on what we can only assume to be the elevator. And the last frame has everything we want to see here. It shows us the range of, again, whatever military capability the elevator has, perhaps of the arsenal bird itself, which you can see, very likely, at the bottom of the screen. And you can also see multiple troop deployments around Las Canas, which, according to the Osian agreements, is an area in alliance with Osia, but, again, due to being in the elevator radius, is their most obvious vector of attack. Between the maps, we see an MQ-101, one of the Arsenal Bird's UAVs, strangely wandering away from the flock, and we also hear a guy who doesn't like them that much. But it's probably not this guy, because that's your starfighter pilot. And what's more interesting, between images of the space elevator, we see him being intercepted by a completely unmarked eagle. This is just a theory, of course, but I think we might be looking at the spark that ignited this war. An unmarked fighter, an eagle of all things, attacking an enemy test aircraft? I'm sorry, but this reeks of false flag.
This is Princess Rosa Cosette Delise. Osia attacks indiscriminately and has remorsefully injured countless innocent civilians.
And having that declaration after that scene just reinforces it for me. Not much else to see here aside from some beautiful scenery inspired by the stone forest in China and Meteor in Greece, and a very good doggo. And I don't think there's much to the 444th Air Base thing other than the negative connotations of the number 4. And as someone about to finish a microbiology master's, I can assure you this is how cool we scientists see ourselves as. But give us a few months and we end up looking like this. Here is our friend Mihail in the flesh and bone. Well, what's left of it anyway.
It's hard to say which side first pulled the trigger that plunged us into this chaos. At this point, who cares?
Hello there, good fellow. I'd recognize that voice from infinity anywhere. Also, more mysterious beginnings points. Okay, now I really hope there isn't an outer space mission, because if any of you ever saw the movie Gravity, you'll know why. That's a catastrophic amount of debris that those satellite destructions just caused. Now, who did this? What did this? You know what? I'm gonna guess Stonehenge. If that thing has the potential to strike across hundreds of kilometers horizontally, it should have more than enough energy to reach into outer space.
All that remained was chaos and confusion.
I wonder which path you would choose. Burn Osia to the ground.
Okay, now this is the most mysterious exchange in the entire trailer. I honestly don't think Rosa and Mechanic Girl are talking to each other. As much as conversations in Ace Combat can be awkward, this just does not feel natural at all. It feels like they pasted two lines on top of each other for the dramatic effect. What does this mean then? Obviously, this Mechanic Girl has some sort of connection to the player. She has those 3 stripes on her face just like Trigger, and she's often seen around ocean eagles. So what's the deal here? Is she Erusian? Is she going to defect to the Erusians? Are we going to defect to the Erusians? Are we going to get a choice? I honestly have no idea at this point. There's way too many open possibilities. They're playing their cards right in this. I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
Trigger, engage. I managed to catch a glimpse of the 3 strikes.
Okay, here I must really apologize for the video quality. Sony Vegas is not being cooperative. But anyway, as immensely cool as that completely ruined canyon of skyscrapers is, I did not deserve this. I haven't been a good boy. But lo and behold, this boon I have received. It's not just my beloved Gripen, it's a Gripen E, even more advanced version. You can just barely make it out, but you can see the 2 mounting rails in the underbelly. I shall see you next year, my friend. And together we shall slay once more. And we have a far more classic TLS than what we've seen. It really resembles a Morgan pod. I'm gonna guess it'll work more like the classic TLS we know and love, and by God does it have a sexy charge-up animation. Okay, that section was so good I almost felt bad about interrupting it, and frankly, there's not much to interrupt it for. Our Typhoon friend here is attacking 2 enemy ships. The first one I honestly have no idea what it is. I'm not a naval vessel specialist anyway, but I'm pretty sure the second one is a Russian Udaloy class destroyer. And of course, our mystery UAV. Who knows what this thing might be? We've seen nothing like this in real life or in Ace Combat. Closest thing would probably be a forward-swept, redesigned version of the Slovakian UAVs, the ones that support Pasternak, but even that's pushing it. And here we see it again, 3 stripes on Trigger, 3 stripes on her. And number 44 for this guy, they're really pushing the death undertones. And I'm a terrible human being because I'm sad I don't see any cables going straight into Mihail's head here. So we got something here, but is it coffin? I guess we'll see. And just a final note for the KH-29s that Mihail's dunking on them fools. And that's all I've got. What's my final take on it? Well, again, I'm a gameplay above all kind of guy, and we've seen just about squat of that, but here's the thing, this is an E3 trailer. If you go back and look at all the former Ace Combat E3 trailers, they're all exactly like this. 100% cinematic, not a pinch of gameplay. Why? Because that's what E3 is for. We kind of forget that what we consider E3 these days, the conferences, they're just pre-E3, they're actually before the event. The event itself is a giant thing where developers go to expose their product to the industry, and that is where we'll see the gameplay. Until then, all we get is eye candy. But good God, is it some good eye candy. This has been TugaAvenger, and I'll see you next time.
I have visual. Arsenal burn confirmed. Engage at will. UAVs won't hesitate to kill. No way I'm dying out here. Don't worry. Stick with Trigger. You'll